How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it.
My name is Jonathan Gillum. And this is The Experts.
This is Jonathan Gillum, and this is The Experts on Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube. With all the freaks on Twitter, already had to block somebody immediately. That's okay. Listen, that means they're noticing the reality of what this show is all about, which is truth, right? That's what it's all about. So if we got them and they're noticing us, that means that we're doing something right. So remember that. Hashtag CQRF. So, I don't know. It looks like maybe they can still comment when when they're blocked. I don't know how this works anymore. But here's the thing, folks. We're going to talk a little bit about Senator Menendez, Democrat from New Jersey, and his emotional opening of his trial. And it's interesting if you don't know what this trial is all about. We'll talk about this, and then also this Navy sailor that wants to have a pardon. I've got a few things to say about that. So why don't we get started? Stand by. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it. Now, as you can see, I'm pumping that out pretty good. I'm going to go over here to Twitter and see if I can block this person again. I don't know if I can on Twitter. But anyway, so, you know, today was another one of those days where, yes, I can do three things at once. I'm going to do it right now. One is one of these days where there's stuff in the news, but it's kind of a lull, and there's a lot of things going on, but nothing really that is that magnified to report on versus yesterday. This is the fakeness of the news cycle. They go, I think there's been reports that at Harvey, down in Texas, that a lot of these reporters were actually like there'd be people building stuff with plywood here. They would turn around and make it look like there was no plywood left. Things like that. You know, it's like in order to keep this news cycle going, they have to kind of make stuff up almost. I mean, it's that bad. So we're not going to do that on this show. And so when things happen, like either my experts are off doing something else and I'm unable to get a hold of them, like today I was wanting to get a hold of Michael Jack. He's not returning my text. So I was wanting to talk about this tax thing that Trump did. But I don't know enough about taxes really to get into that. And until I can bring an expert on, we're not going to cover that. Again, I do all the booking. I do all the production, everything else, the tech stuff. So it takes a little bit sometimes for me to get people on the show. So I'm not going to entertain the taxes. I do think that was a story. I think also today Paul Ryan has a tremendous amount of egg on his face because he was putting down all the obstructionist stuff that's going on. He was saying that Trump couldn't get stuff done, that the government was again going to be shut down, and evidently the president went and made a deal with conservatives and with Democrats in order to prevent a lot of this stuff so we can concentrate this, so the government can concentrate on helping out all these people where these hurricanes are taking place. And I thought that was a tremendous effort on the part of the president, but I think that it was a shot across the bow of GOP establishment members and fruitcakes in the DNC that just don't want to play ball and get things done. The president actually stepped up to the plate and made deals. And look, I hate the fact that that's what the government's about. But Tip O'Neill showed years ago that, you know, the Speaker of the House is a very pivotal part of government where things either get done or they don't get done. And Tip O'Neill would sit down and have dinner with both sides of the aisle and make things happen. Paul Ryan, that's not the case. And again, the further we get into the president's term, the more the Congress and the Senate look bad, not the president. And I think this is where a lot of my liberal friends are highly mistaken, thinking that the president did this wrong or he did that wrong. The president is not playing ball with the establishment people in either one of those parties, mainly because he can't. They won't sit down and play ball with him. So he is playing ball with the rest of the people in Congress and in the Senate. And if the Republican establishment doesn't want to deal with it and doesn't want to do it, then he goes to the other side and gets things done. Listen, that's the way it's done. And I think that I like the way he's doing that. Now, I wish it was a different way. I wish that we had real leaders in all three branches of the government that were focused on what's effective and not what just is best for their party. But that's not the case until this country gets to a point where the people overthrow the government. If that ever happens, this is what we're left with. And I'm not telling people to go out and overthrow the government, but you're going to have to do one of two things in this country. You're going to have to overthrow the two parties, the Democrat and the Republican Party, or you got to overthrow the government. That's the only way you're going to change anything. And I'm not talking about armed overthrowing. You can do it the same way the Democrats have done it, by secretly getting people into office, like in Texas, so you can just start changing laws. You know? In other words, as I've always said, this is a revolvolution, not a revolution. And when I say overthrow the government, what I'm talking about is getting enough people in government so we can take it back away from these two parties and take it back to the Constitution. So overthrow the two-party system and hand the government back to the Constitution. That's what needs to happen. I don't know, maybe overthrow is a bit too strong of a word, but in reality, that's kind of what it is. Our government is not what it was set up to be by the Founding Fathers. There were supposed to be three branches of government. They were supposed to be independent of one another, and they were supposed to be checks and balances. There's none of that. There's none of that. There's no checks and balances. The Democrat establishment in the Senate and Congress, and if they have a president in the White House, they're not going to check each other. The same thing goes with the Republican establishment. If they own, look, Republicans own everything now. And they're as screwed up as three ways to Sunday because they're not willing, well, because they're all political establishment people that are dedicated to the party and not to the people. So the only way to overcome that is to eventually overthrow the two-party political system. And when you say that, you're talking about the government because they own every seat of power in the United States. Big thing to happen. And those are big words, but it's a reality. And it's what's been done to us. It's what happened to our Constitution. It was subverted, overran, overthrown. Our Constitution is ignored in many, many ways. And by and large, the people are completely ignored. And what's best for us isn't even taken into account anymore. So instead of talking about the Navy sailor first, I know I had that listed first. Let's go to the A block, and we're going to talk about Senator Menendez, because I think this is a perfect example of what's going on in Washington, D.C. So why don't we do that? And again, I apologize. I know you guys are going to see this a lot. You're going to see the Sheep No More video a lot. But listen, this is my show, and that's the only way I have to advertise it on social media. So that's what we'll do. And if you are tuning in for the first time, or if you haven't ordered the book, go order it and pre-order it, and then you'll get it December 12th. Don't wait. Order it now and help me. I explained this on C.L. Bryant's show a little earlier today. The more people we get to buy this book now, the higher it goes on the bestseller list. The higher it goes on the bestseller list, the more people are going to see it, the more likely they are to buy it. So what happens? More people are going to be informed on how they can target themselves and in turn, how they gain awareness. It makes a difference in everything you do, folks. Everything. So help me out with that. And don't forget about the GoFundMe page. I feel like I've neglected that GoFundMe page. We got to keep up on that. That funds will dwindle fast. That's the way that happens. And that's how this show is kept on air. All right, let's go to the A block. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it. Now you'll see there I cut that a little too late because I'm doing all my editing here in front of you. You see a flash of me come up there. Listen, that's the way it is. It's not perfect when you're doing it yourself. Somebody said they had a question for me on Twitter. Go ahead, ask me a question. I'm always looking, and so sometimes I miss some of the things, sometimes I don't. Okay, so let's talk about Menendez. those of you who don't know who this guy is, he is a, I'll put, let's see here. I don't have a picture of him up here. Let me see here. Let me play this real quick on foxnews.com. You'll recognize him when they show him. Let's see here. So this is him right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Probably not from that screen. There you go. This is him. This is from foxnews.com. That's Senator Menendez from New Jersey. I don't know who that guy is. Probably his attorney. And basically, what they're talking about, I know guys, men and women in the FBI that have worked public corruption cases before. This, I don't think there's anything super special about this one. He's being charged with, it's a corruption trial. And basically what he's saying is he had this doctor friend of his, right? And the doctor donated something to his campaign, like $700,000. And in return, what Senator Menendez did was help him get, it was visas or passports, is accused of accepting more than $700,000 in campaign-related cash and thousands of dollars in free hotel rooms and air travel from a longtime friend, Dr. Solomon Melgen. And Melgen is charged with 11 counts as well. And he was basically, with that money, in exchange for that money, helped the doctor with multi-million-dollar business deals and allegedly tried to get visas for the doctor's foreign girlfriends. Now, this is what I'm talking about, folks. This is about as dirty as you can get. And this guy utilized his office, his official office, for personal gain. I don't know what other office there is that in the United States government that you can get away with this other than a political office. I've said it many, many times. It's just time that they start holding the politicians to the same standards as we're held to when we're servants of the government. If you're an FBI agent or in the military or what else, anything else that you're sworn into, you cannot use your official position, your official equipment. You can't take rides on a official, like you can't use your credit card to go buy your government credit card to go buy plastic surgery for somebody. You can't take a flight on an official plane if you want to run for office somewhere. But for some reason, politicians all get to do this. I don't agree with that. I don't think that should be the case. And I think it's one of the things that we could take away from politicians and eliminate their ability to basically harvest personal gain through their official position, if that makes any sense. So I think when this guy comes in and he's near to tears and he's going on about how his attorney says during his opening statement, Menendez's lawyer told jurors a single word can cut through the mountain of evidence, quote unquote, that word being friendship. Well, you know, when I took my oath of office and I went through all the things that I went through, it was never pushed upon me by the security that was handling our in-brief and reading us into certain programs that friendship trumps all this. That was never the case. That never was pressed to us. And the fact is, this guy, like a lot of people in Jersey, are into organized crime. I'm not just talking about the Italian mafia. I'm talking about organized crime in the way that they do things to cut deals for each other, and it's in an organized fashion because that's the way they do it. And quite frankly, I think we need to put a stop to that because that's not the way that the government system should work. And I think that they're the only ones that seem to get away with this stuff. So I don't know. Friendship plays no part in this. It doesn't matter if it's your friend. You still can't commit crimes of corruption and of taking payoffs to get people work and doing different types of, yeah, exactly, Remo. It's ethics. Ethics that we're all held to the standard of. I mean, we have a whole course in the FBI Academy about ethics to keep us out of trouble from doing the wrong thing. I don't think these people ever get talked to about ethics. I mean, a number of the people in Congress or in government in general are felons. I don't even think most people realize that. So I think this is going to be a good trial to watch. I think the things that come out of it are going to be good for you to monitor, because there's not much that the press can really twist in this, because what it gets reported in the trial is what gets reported in the trial. And I think that this is a good example of what happens in Washington, D.C. And every once in a while, you'll see one of these politicians take a tremendous fall. And I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those falls. I forget the guy's name that was an F-4 pilot in Vietnam. He was an ace, storied career, and then washed it all down the drain because of something very similar, and spent time in prison. And I'm forgetting his name. If anybody knows his name, let me know, but I forget what it was. So, no, it was not Duncan Hunter. Duncan Hunter was not an ace in Vietnam. He's not old enough. No, this was, he's kind of the guy that, no, he wasn't the guy that Top Gun was written about, but he was an F-4 pilot, and he had, I don't remember what his name was, but he became a congressman, I believe, not a senator. So let's see here. I'm not seeing anybody knows the name. So today, a lot of things kind of came out and kind of happened in the news. But again, this is the way the news cycle works. Sometimes the things that happen, no, it's not McCain. He's a criminal now, but that's not the same guy. This guy actually spent time in jail. And Cunningham. Let me just look it up so I get past this whole nonsense. Here you go. I'm my own brain room today. Oh, yeah. Randy Duke Cunningham. He was a flying ace during the Vietnam War. Catapults him to U.S. House. Career that ended in disgrace when he was convicted of accepting $2.4 million in bribes from defense contractors. Yeah. Storied career ruined. Ruined for two reasons. One, because he became a congressman. And two, because he played the game and he got burned. Because they're not concerned in Washington, D.C. about what is effective. They're concerned with their own special interests, and they're concerned with padding their pockets. You know, I'm just going to say this. I don't even know what this guy's name is. He is trying to think where he's from. Oh, he's from Chicago. Hold on. I'll figure it out. Let's see here. Oh, yes. Luis Gutierrez. This guy has got to be one of the, next to Anthony Weiner. For some reason, my other computer just froze. Luis Gutierrez is probably one of the biggest weirdos I've seen in Washington, D.C. And let's see here. Hold on a second here. Put his picture up here so you'll see it. He's always, yeah, this great image of this guy. There he is. Look at that. See this guy right here? Wacko, this guy. Tries to play it off as though he's like all-American or whatever, but the reality is this guy is the biggest snake in the grass, never has anything nice to say about the president, and will always be on the opposite side. It doesn't matter if it has to do with DACA or something else. He's this Anthony Weiner type that is just always so enraged and all this stuff, and a lot of his facts never add up. He's just another one of these people. I would not be surprised if he doesn't end up in some kind of scandal like Anthony Weiner did. Folks, the state of affairs in Washington, D.C. is so bad that I have conversations on a daily basis with people that literally last year would have said, no, you're overreacting. The country's not going to be in trouble. And now they're saying there's no way this country can ever come back. That's a scary thing when you think about it, folks. A scary thing. And today, I'm not going to give a lot of big lessons today because what I'm going to point out today is with Menendez. I don't know how I got on Gutierrez, but I just can't stand the guy. But with Menendez, this is a good example of what's happening in government. And it's a good way for you to track the reality and state of affairs in Washington, D.C. When you see a story like this, keep up with it in the news. If it's not being reported, you know it's happening. You know the trial's happening. Go check in on it so you can see how it's going, because you will hear details that you wouldn't get any other way. That's one good thing about the court system is when this stuff gets in there, it's going to be a part of public record so that you can actually hear this and see it and realize the reality of what's going on. Okay, let's go to the B block, and I'm going to talk about this sailor and why I don't think he should be pardoned. So let's do that now. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep No More. Get it. You guys getting tired of that commercial now? It's the only commercial we have on this show. So maybe I should do a commercial for the GoFundMe page as well and drive people really crazy. So this Navy guy that you guys are going to remember from last year, he let me see here. Let me look this up here. My computer is running slow tonight. Last night it was OBS. That's why the whole show crashed. OBS was acting crazy. I don't know why. That's the program that I use to do this on, and this computer was running really fast before I started this show, and now it seems to be running slow. So stand by. And let me just restart this. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So, Navy sailor whose conviction and imprisonment for taking photos inside his nuclear sub last year. Listen, I even had a lot to say about it. I believe that he was convicted right for the right reasons. I think Hillary Clinton was let off for 10,000 times more than what this guy did. But if you're read into something, into one of these national security programs, and then you go out and you take pictures, like for instance this guy of a sub, you should be convicted. And he was convicted in 2016 of unauthorized retention of national defense information, which is a felony, and received other than honorable discharge from the Navy. He had faced up to 10 years in jail. Look, he got off, right? He could have gotten 10 years in jail and a dishonorable discharge. That's the way it goes, folks. When you're given a clearance and you're read into a program this important, and you go and take pictures, one of two things, there's only two things that can explain it. Either you're spying or you are a complete idiot. And it's one of those two things. Just because he got a dishonorable discharge and got convicted doesn't mean he wasn't a spy. I don't know who this guy is. President Trump, to my knowledge, doesn't know him personally. And I think that it is egregious that he would come out and ask for a pardon. That of course, you know, he's going to give it everything he can because he screwed up so bad. But the reality is, folks, you know, it's, let me see what everybody's saying about. How do you guys feel about that? I guess that's the question I should ask. How do you all, because I can read all these different things that you guys are saying here. How do you all feel about it? Because I don't think he should be let off. So Sean Hannity says he should be pardoned. I disagree with that. I hope they bring this up tomorrow when we're on the show, because I'd love to explain that. I don't think that he should be pardoned. Sometimes Sean and I disagree, but that's okay. So Remo, a second chance. You get a second chance if you're in training, for instance, and you lead your platoon down the wrong way, and you end up in training and you attack the wrong target, for instance. You get a second chance. If you go to qualify with your weapon and you don't make it, you get a second chance. If you have a timed run and you don't get it, you're going to get bitched out, but you're going to get a second chance. But when you're read into a national security program after you've been through boot camp and you've been through your advanced training and you're at your ship, which in this case was a submarine, and you decide to take pictures, that's not a mistake. That is not a mistake. A mistake would be if you were given permission to videotape part of the sub and you had the camera hanging around your neck and you forgot to turn it off and then you walk through. That's a mistake, okay? You forget to close the hatch, and when the ship takes off, it swings back and hits somebody. That's a mistake, but that's also a failure of your duties. In this case, what this guy did was egregious. It was huge. You don't take pictures of submarines. Everybody knows that. I've never even been read into that program, and I know if I went down to one of the Navy bases when I was in and I was able to, or look, I've worked around subs. I'm not going to go into detail about it. In the SEAL teams, we work around subs. I'm not going to take pictures of submarines. That's not what we do. So, second chance. Water got me. Second chance. His second chance is he didn't get put in jail, and now he's getting to live a civilian life. Okay, so he won't be able to do certain things because he got a dishonorable discharge. If anything, he should ask the president if he could give him a general discharge and not pardon him fully because what he did was wrong. If that guy said that and I was the president, I'd say, okay, maybe, I don't know. It's dangerous for the commander-in-chief to give somebody a pardon who did something that was strictly bad judgment and broke the rules. I mean, the president can't go around doing that. People are constantly inside the military doing stuff wrong. Somebody accidentally puts a hard drive in their backpack. I've heard of that before. Some of these machines that we have, the computers, they have a classified hard drive and a classified hard drive. I mean, the fact is, none of those hard drives should be going home with you. But they take the non-class hard drive home with them by accident, whatever, and they get busted. They can get kicked out for that. I know people who were contractors who made that mistake and were sent out of country. They were overseas and never could return with the DOD. So I don't think, based on my experience in training, that this individual should be given a pardon. You got to, at some point, you have to draw the line as far as standards go, and I can't expect that the president would go around pardoning people. In fact, if he pardoned this guy, it would, in my opinion, lower his argument or his ability to argue against Hillary Clinton. When you see somebody doing something like this, you should hold them to the law and let the law decide on what happens. You tell me what you think about that. Yes, you're exactly right. On Twitter, they said Hillary has set a precedent. No one goes to jail. Again, I think a lot of these people that come out and write books about stuff that was classified, about operations that they were involved with, that were classified, I don't like that either. I think we're given too many tactics and ideas about our equipment that's still classified. Like, you see in the movies about the SEALs, you see the different night vision goggles that have the four not cameras, but I don't know what they're called, the four viewfinders on them. that stuff was classified when the movie came out about Osama bin Laden. And, of course, how that happened was Leon Panetta allowed the screenwriter of Zero Dark 30 to set in a classified briefing at the CIA about what happened. Optics. Thank you, Jim. The 4 optics. Yeah, Mark Thomas is asking, why did that guy have a phone to begin with on the sub? I don't know the rules of subs, but if we have anybody on here that was on a sub before, I'm imagining that that's probably against the rules. Is that Jamie or Janie? Janie, I agree with you. No more slaps on the wrist for doing what is wrong, including officials. I agree with that. You do something wrong, you get punished for it. You lose, you don't get a trophy. You win, you do. You do something right in your job, doesn't mean that you need an award for it. It means that you get your paycheck at the end of the month. Whatever happened to that? I do my job so I get paid, not I do my job so I want a reward or a bonus. The other thing I think they should cut out is bonuses for senior executives. I don't know if that happens in the DOD, but it definitely happens in federal law enforcement and in the government. If they are able to manipulate a contract or cut the budget or something like that, they can get bonuses. And I don't know how that's possible, because nothing good can come out of that in the government. If all these senior executive officers or the special agent in charge and on up, I don't know if assistant special agents in charge, but I know special agents in charge in the Bureau, if they do certain things, they can get up to $25,000 bonus at the end of the year. I don't know how that's possible. How is that not a conflict of interest? Because then they're going to start doing certain things, which I've heard, in order to maintain that bonus. I don't know. Anyway, Godspeed to the guy who's a sailor. I hope he learned his lesson. I hope he finds a career that he can flourish in outside of the military, even with a dishonorable discharge. But I don't think he should be pardoned. So I think that's all I'm going to talk about tonight, except for the fact that some friends of mine are not going to, they're in the Tampa area. They are not planning on evacuating for Hurricane Irma that's coming up. I don't know if that's smart, but everybody's got their own reasoning and why they leave and why they don't. So, if you're in the Miami area, somebody said that the mayor of Miami was not telling people to evacuate. Screw that guy. Do what you feel is necessary and protect your life and your family. Like I said before, if you can, waterproof your stuff. Take like this. Let's say this is the top of a garbage bag right here. You can take 2 garbage bags. And basically you take one, you put a blanket in there, you line it, you pull it out, the blanket. So let's say this is the first garbage bag. I don't want to get my thing in there wet. You put the blanket down into the garbage bag like this, right? Then you take, so now you got a garbage bag with a blanket in it that's draped out. Then you take another garbage bag and you put it inside here. You push them all down, you get it flush, and then you put your stuff in there. These are the big, giant garbage bags. And then you take the top of the garbage bag, which would be like this, and you take it, you pull it together like this, and fold it down like this. Then, let's say this is the top of the garbage bag, bend it like this, and twist it, and then go get some zip ties, and zip tie that thing, just like that. All right? Now, if you do that, a lot of your stuff will be pretty close to being waterproofed. It'd be very difficult for the stuff to get in there. You can even, the bag on the inside, You could even triple bag that. Put that stuff and then put another bag over that and do the same thing. When you rump it down like that, it kind of locks it. When you take the bag and the two parts are like this, you pull it tight and then you just fold it down, bend it, and then twist it like this, and then zip tie that. Go get those zip ties. If you can do that, the chances are your stuff, you may come back and your stuff is dry. Leave it on top of your bed and somewhere where it's a little bit higher than the water might go if you got it on a second floor. Put the things that you can't take with you, your pictures, your papers, other clothes, so you come back and you have clothes. I mean, those bags are not expensive, and listen, at least you're trying, at least you're giving it some effort. Every time I see these videos where people come home after a flood or a storm surge or hurricane or whatever, and they're like, we have nothing, there's nothing left. Well, did you try to waterproof anything? Did you try? I mean, you can try at least, because trust me, if you come back and you're like, oh man, only my bag with underwear and socks was saved. Hey, you're going to have dry underwear and socks, and trust me, after about a week, you're going to be like, thank goodness I waterproofed that stuff. Or your taxes or whatever, your diplomas, throw that stuff in there or whatever. Don't just sit idly by and allow these things to happen. Where'd that dog go? He's stuck under my desk. Come here. Come here. Look at. You were down in the basement, weren't you? Huh? You were down in the basement. All right, go on. Say hello. Hi. All right, get out of here. He's getting a little pestery. You all right? Okay. Man. Let's see here. I love blocking these weirdos on Twitter. It's funny, that guy. No, it's the same name. I just hit it blocked several times. Remember, folks, if somebody is on here saying stuff, we can ask Barry Morgenstein. You can report these people. I don't have to. You can report them, and I can block them, but you can report them. And you can, and sometimes they'll do stuff. Sometimes about it. Obviously, Barry suffered from that. Okay, I'm rambling. I don't really have a whole lot more to talk about, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end the show. And I want you to remember, tomorrow at 8 p.m. is when the show's going to start airing, all right? From now on, from this point forward, I have to change all my memes that I've got out there. The show is going to be at 8 p.m. I hope that doesn't cause anybody problems, but it's just a matter of logistics. As we can see, the closer it gets to 10 o'clock, we're right at 10 o'clock, the numbers just crash. So we're going to try it at 8 for a while. It's going to make my life a little bit more easier. I'll be able to get more things done, and I think it's better for you also. You'll have other things to do. You'll have more time to do stuff before you go to bed. So that's about it. Let's go to the Truth Zone, and then I'm going to end this. So remember, tomorrow, let's see, where's my good buddy here that's always, see if she's on here. Michael Jack, we'll talk about taxes tomorrow if you want. And let's see here. Where is she? I know she was on at the beginning. Becky Parker, she's always keeping me on when I'm not on time. She's always asking, are you going to be on? Are you doing the show? Are you doing the show? Okay, so Becky, as of tomorrow, the show is at 8 o'clock. Just so you know. I should be on, unless something else comes up, I should be on Sean Hannity's radio show tomorrow around 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. Rick Unger and I do a spot on there every Thursday. And then I'm going to be hosting a show at 2 p.m. on Newsmax on Friday by myself. So that ought to be fun. And, of course, we'll do tomorrow's show at 8. Friday's show, we'll do the toast. And then we'll tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have Michael Jack on. Oh, he's going to be in Vegas. Oh, boy. All right. Well, we'll see. We got to get somebody who can talk about taxes, because I really don't know. I will tell you this. I watched that whole speech today, and it was like if you had to go to the bathroom and you went all the way around the opposite, or like instead of going to the bathroom right there, you go all the way around the world to get to the bathroom. Sometimes listening to President Trump talk about policy is very, very difficult. He just never gets to the point. And today was one of those days, so I walked away not really fully understanding what he was saying at all about taxes. It's got to be one of the things I fault him for. Also, again, bringing his daughter up on the stage. I don't know how many times I got to say this. He needs to cut that crap out, because it's the same thing with this Navy sailor. If he goes and pardons this guy, there's going to be 100 other people that have done stuff just as egregious that are going to want pardons. It's also going to make it look like what Hillary did might be, excusable. You have to lay the law down, and you have to set the standard. And I'm tired of seeing his daughter with him on these trips. I know she's an advisor. That's cool. If she's a paid advisor, then she needs to go through the same checks as everybody else. But quite frankly, I just don't like people's kids in the White House working. I don't even think the First Lady should have a cause. I mean, maybe in certain circumstances, but I don't think that should be a duty of the First Lady. We don't elect a First Lady. We're not electing these people, folks. I'll say this before we go. We're not electing these people to be kings and queens. We're electing, think about this, okay? We are electing them. I don't know how many of you people own companies that watch this show. Or if you, let's say you gave your checkbook to some banker to manage, and he said, okay, check it out. I'm going to bring my daughter in here to manage this stuff, to help manage your funds. You're going to be like, what qualifications does she have to manage my funds? Well, listen, I trust her, and she's my confidant, and she's one of the people in the business that I can trust. Okay, you can trust her, but is she wise on banking? Does she know how to manage money? Does she know stocks? Well, I trust her, and she's a great American. Okay, I take my money elsewhere is what I do. Well, the same thing, folks. The same thing goes for running our country. We elect a president because he's got operational experience, because he has experience in building buildings and running organizations and failure, and then coming back from failure and achieving. That's why we hired him. Okay, we hired him because he's not a politician as well. Well, I didn't hire his daughter. I don't know what experience does she have that would lead her to understand taxes. I don't know. I'm not being told that. To send her and her husband overseas to be the saviors of Israel. They've never been in the military. Neither one of them have. The point is, it's bad practice, and if you're going to set the standard, set it and be done with it. Don't worry about what they'll do in the future. Set the standard, stick with it, and show that you're a person of principle. See, that's where it comes down to. We, the American people, are not electing people who can skate the laws and skate the rules and do okay and not set the standard. We should be electing people who abide by the laws, who set the standards, and who do the things that we would want them to do, and not saying, it's okay for me to have nepotism in my house, but it's not okay for them to have it. Because I can guarantee you, all of you people that are saying, like this person on Twitter, you're laying it on thick, Gillum. Really? I can guarantee you, the same people, if Hillary Clinton had won and Chelsea Clinton was in there prancing around, going and sitting at tables in foreign meetings, or her and her husband were the ones that were in charge of fixing the Middle East, I can guarantee you these people would be falling over backwards. And that's not what I do. I don't play it one way and not the other. You know, I set the standard, and I expect people to stick to that standard. Period. That's it. We're not hiring people to allow them to get away with stuff. We're hiring them to do a freaking job. That's it. Do your job. Run the country. You know, whatever it is, whatever this, you know, if people want health insurance, if enough people want that, then we need to go down that road and look at it. All right? I mean, I don't think people were really looking at it, but now they are. Whatever it is, we want to fight Islam, then we need to have a strategic plan to go after fundamental Islam, name the enemy, and push it back, work with those Muslims who are not looking for jihad, for the countries where they don't want outside intervention or they don't want to help stuff, you know, excuse me, they don't want to bow to the fundamentalists, you know, help those countries and stand with allies and push them back in the Middle East, defeat them online, set up our immigration, make sure that people are properly screened no matter where they come from, get people out of this country that aren't supposed to be here, can't help it if they were brought here, get them out, give them a legal and a more efficient way to get back in, and fix stuff. That's what we hire these people for. Not to prance around, advertise their daughter or their businesses, or as you see with Menendez, do deals for their buddies, get people green cards, make a freaking ton of money. That's not what they're there for. That's the illusion of government that we've bought into. And the fact is, government is strictly the management of the country. That's it. It shouldn't be special interests. There shouldn't be, okay, the Democrats running for this and Republicans running for that, so I'm going to vote Republican. It shouldn't be like that. It should be, are you an educated individual that understands management, standard operating procedures, streamlining? Are you able to surround yourself with subject matter experts so that you can go and do and effectively fix the problems that we have and carry out the role of your job? It's that simple, but we've been led down this road to think that politicians around the world are celebrities. They're not. Politicians should be tiptoeing around everything because the people should be very worried all the time about whether or not they're going to get fired from that job. That's the only thing, if I could change anything in the Constitution, it would be that we could just fire these people that fast. And unfortunately, we have to wait to vote them out. But what do we get? The same two political parties. That's the only choice we have. Which brings us back full circle to where I started this from. The only way we're going to change this country is if we overthrow the two political parties. I'm not saying through force. I'm not saying that any specific way. What I'm saying is what's been done to us should be done to them. They went in, those two political parties, and they subverted our entire country. And now there are no checks and balances. We can't get things done. We can't have manage. We got an income tax that is so out of control. When I was in the FBI, I made $110,000 my last year I was there. And by the end of the year, I had brought home $56,000 from $110,000. That is crazy, folks. And then everything I bought was taxed, which means when you get right down to it, it was less than 40 cents on every dollar that I got. And if you look at your taxes, you're going to see the same thing. Once you get over a certain level, the majority of your money is going to taxes in one way or another. And what's crazy about that is, folks, nothing ever improves in this country. Except for people like Menendez who get richer, the Communist Party gets stronger, the Republicans and Democrats get more powerful. And meanwhile, like this weirdo said on Tucker Carlson's show that's in California, I don't know who this guy was, he had something to do with the California government. They're trying to push the middle class out of California so that the leftists can take over. This country is only as strong as its middle class, period. Period. And if we don't get rid of the people that are in government right now, by getting good people in government, and by stopping this subversion, there's no hope. Let's go to the Truth Zone. And sorry, I'm going to play this one more time, this commercial, so you know, so you'll go out and hopefully purchase this book, tell everybody about it. I'm telling you, folks, what's happened already with this book is a perfect example of what I always talk about with the Constitutional Quick Reaction Force. The more people that band together and talk and show up every night and unify and discuss things, agree and disagree, but work it out, the better off we're going to be when it comes time for us to operate in some capacity together. There's no lie. That's absolute truth. In this book that I wrote to empower people, to give them a skill set that for some reason the government just won't give people. They get it in Israel and nobody goes crazy over there. People understand how a bad person thinks in Israel, and they understand that this is the avenue of approach, and these are our vulnerabilities, so they eliminate those vulnerabilities. Well, that's what I did. I wrote a book that's going to give you the techniques of that so that you can go out and do that yourself with your family, your friends, your church, your government officials, your businesses. It can be applied to any of those. So the more people buy this, the further it goes on the bestseller list, the more people will see it, the more people will buy it. That's the way this whole thing works. The more people buy it, the more empowered they'll be, the better the awareness is. And then perhaps you're out somewhere and you've dropped your awareness, and somebody next to you may say, something's happening. I can feel it. It's going to come from that direction because I did my target package. Let's get out of here. You hear that and you start running. That person just saved your life. That's the way this whole thing works. And the price is low on Amazon right now. It's like $10. So it's not going to cost you a lot to pre-order it right now. And tell everybody about it. There should be not one person that you know that should not know about getting this book. And one last thing. Hate to keep pushing all this stuff. Go to the GoFundMe page. I tried to do this push last 2 weeks ago, where we were going to try to get everybody from the Friends of Jonathan T. Gilliam page to donate $50 in a one-time pledge. Do that once a year. Donate $50, and we could have funded this show for the rest of the year into next year. But for some reason, we just can't get people. They'll go and waste their money on cigarettes or too much beer, or they'll go somewhere like Cracker Barrel, and eat until they literally have to unbutton their pants to leave, but they won't donate $50 to something like this show that, like the book, the bigger it gets, the bigger the voice gets, the more unified we get, the more understanding people have, and just the more empowered the people become. So I am reaching out to you all again. Go to the GoFundMe page. Donate $50. You can donate less, but remember, minimal effort, maximum results. When everybody gets in on something, it takes less effort and you have greater results. But everybody's got to get involved. There are a lot of people that jumped up and donated $50, but it wasn't everybody. We need everybody to get involved in this. And look, everybody donates $50 and you donate $50, and then you write me and say, "Can I get that $50 back? I'm short on my rent." We'll send you $100 if we have to. I mean, I can't do that to everybody, but in certain cases. I'm not out to take people's money. I'm out to get people to invest in this show. That's the whole gist of this. All right? Same thing with the book. Invest in the book. You're investing in the community and the overall awareness of the community. I know this sounds like sales techniques for you all. It's not. I'm not getting rich off this by any means. But I'm dedicating myself to this so that you have some alternative to the news for truth, and so you can get some inside expertise from people like myself, Michael Jack, Scott Eulinger, Dave Robinson, Kitty Kelly, Laura Munoz, all these people that come on here. Let's go to the Truth Zone. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep no more. Get it. All right. I kind of already did my True Zone a little bit. We'll take a drink of water. You know, folks, there's days like today before the show when I'm tired and I'm out of it and I'll have some coffee, or I literally will go take a shower to wake myself up, to get myself in there, because I monitor what's going on so close that it gets to a point where on days like today, there's just seems to be, it's one of those lulls in the news where you really got to dig, because normally when I say lulls in the news, normally the news cycle is so salacious that it's right in front of me, and all I got to do is pull the curtain back a little bit and I can actually see the reality of what's going on. Today's not one of those days. For some reason, there's not a lot going on. But this is what's good about it is when I see something like Menendez trial, or this guy, the Navy sailor who's trying to get pardon, those things actually really stand out. But those are the things that most people will overlook, is just, Menendez is just another politician, or yeah, we should just pardon the sailor. But there's stories in there. The reality is when the news cycle is not pumping up salacious things, you actually do get some facts from the news. You just have to look past the reporting and you'll actually see the reality. Menendez, that's a perfect example of what's happening in the government. This sailor, perfect example of people who do the wrong thing and expect to be forgiven for it, when in fact what they did could injure the national security of this country. You know, that's why I don't think that we should be allowing political appointees and politicians and any of these people to somehow exist after taking an oath of office without being held to the standard of the oath of office. How are we supposed to hold the people that are serving this country with their lives? How are we supposed to hold them to task if we don't hold the people who are making the big bucks, getting the big bonuses, and doing the illegal things like Hillary Clinton and the rest of them, if we don't hold them to task? That's why, folks, I hold President Trump to task. That's why I don't allow him to get away with things like nepotism. Not because I hate the president. I don't. I support him. But I'm not going to allow the American people to send their money here and see anything but the truth. That's not the game. I don't play the journalism game. I am not a journalist. I am a seeker of truth, and I'm gifted with the ability to take technical things and explain it to the non-technical mind that has not had that training. That's what this show's all about. So, I'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would expect that you'll be back with me. We'll see how that goes. But remember, it doesn't matter what time we're on, because it's always posted afterwards. Although I do enjoy your comments, so it's better if you're live. Regardless, I'll be here. I hope you join me. I hope you tell everybody about the show and about the book and about the GoFundMe page. And if you need help, if these liberals and communists, not just liberals, I know friends that are liberals, Rick Unger's a good guy. If these leftists and these communists and these fascists, and yeah, neo-Nazis as well, if any of these hate groups are hounding you on Twitter or anywhere else, tell me. We'll get the CQRF there. But regardless, we have to stand together. I'm Jonathan Gillum. Rico's there. I'm here. You're there. And tomorrow, 8 o'clock, we'll be right here. The truth has arrived. How many of you are prepared for an incident like this? Get my new book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, and I will teach you to think like an attacker so you can truly defend yourself. Don't just react, act. Available for pre-order now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Sheep no more. Get it.
I hope nobody heard about that IT guy that I hired. By the way, this is Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I hope nobody heard about the fact that that IT guy is going to be given, I don't know, some kind of a deal to come back from Pakistan and go to trial. That could be bad for me. I hope nobody finds out about that.
Don't worry, I'm with you, Debbie. This is old Dennis Kucinich. I'm not even sure people know who I am anymore. I've been out of the game for a while.
I know who you are, Dennis.
You're going down, Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Whoever called me a rabbit poodle on Twitter, I just want you to know I'm Debbie Wasserman Schultz and I resemble that remark.